have a special show today for you here on PM Express. Today we have a studio audience who will be interacting with representatives from both the NDC and the MPP. The national youth organizers who join us from both sides. In fact, for the MPP, we have the Deputy General Secretary, but the NDC, we have the national youth organizer. They will be interacting with first-time voters, prospective first-time voters who just picked up their the cards to vote. They registered for the very first time. They are looking forward to it, but some aren't also. And I'm really curious about where they really stand on the big issues of the day, right? And that's why we put them together. We have been talking a lot about the issues, but we haven't really isolated it a bit more. And I'm pretty sure you've been following our Just Turned 18 package that we bring you every Monday. And that, in essence, was just to get the views of those who are registering to vote for the first time and also to get their views into the conversation. Inclusivity is very important for us. And that's why we carved out that Just Turned 18 program. And today, we've done 5 shows. We're going to synthesize and bring all the issues together and put it directly to the reps of the political party. So please stay with me. And when I begin to tell you about these numbers here, 1.8 million, you begin to appreciate why these young prospective voters this year can decide the outcome of the elections. And Lishi is telling us already that he expects this number to be voting this year. But also we know that if you look at it, more than 1.43 million newly registered voters already, many of them first-time voters. Young people who turned 18 after the 2020 elections were looking forward to the December 7 this year, but some are not also. And I want to understand that also tonight. Now, 2.6 million of them, we expect that will be first-time voters. But pay attention to this for me. If you look at the last elections, for example, that margin here between NDC and MPP was 522,000 votes. And that number is pretty small compared to the huge number of prospective voters that we're expecting to be voting this year. In other words, the huge numbers of these first-time voters can decide this year's election. So their views matter. Who really is proposing policies that will really appeal to them? But what are the issues of most importance to them? We'll find out today on PM Express. And again, if you go back to 2008, after the runoff, the two parties were separated by just 84,000 votes. So we're talking about a quite tiny number of votes here compared to those who will be voting this year. So elections have been decided with far less numbers. And you really want to pay attention to these first-time voters. And Just Turned 18 is that vehicle that we design here at the election headquarters to tap into that constituency of freshly turned 18 Ghanaians, young men and women who turned 18 after 2020, just to highlight the key issues of importance to them. And we've been talking to them over the period, right? And they've been telling us a few things, and that we want to put to the parties today here on PMS. One of the things they've talked to us about, that many of them are hesitant to even register this year when the EC made that available to them to vote, created an opportunity for them to vote. Many of them were hesitant because they have lost trust in their government. The governments have promised them a lot and delivered very little. And we'll get into that with both the both reps of the parties when they join me. Unemployment was another theme that emerged across the 5 episodes that we've so far put out. And we'll get into that also. How are the parties proposing to deal with the unemployment situation? Well, we also spoke to disabled prospective first-time voters, and they felt left out. So inclusivity is something that is important to these prospective first-time voters, those who just turned 18, but they're not getting that from the parties. We are 4 months on election. Do they feel included in these conversations that the parties are having about policy, etc.? We'll hear from them, especially these young disabled men and women who we've been talking to, those with, the special needs indeed. We'll talk to them. Change from the dominant political parties is important to them also. They want an alternative to the NDC and the MPP. I'm wondering, for the NDC and the MPP themselves, what is it that they've been trying to do, knowing that there's a constituency out there that believe that they have failed them and they're looking for a third force. And that conversation we've been having for quite a while, as far as this is concerned. And then the subject of galamsey is important to them too. It's a subject that we've been engaging here on the Joy News channel for quite a while. The young people also want solutions to the galamsey. We'll get them to put that question to the political party reps too. Quality of healthcare. And trust me, these young men and women, they know the issues, except that we haven't tapped into that a lot. Just Anything is doing that, but are the parties paying attention to it? We'll get to that when we sit. But I'm also curious about this other issue that we found in the 5 episodes, that 50% want free SHS reviewed, and among the lot that we've spoken to so far, but also 37% want it abolished, and then you have 12.5% maintained, right? And this is an interesting point, but many of them tell us that indeed they've seen some improvement when it comes to the cost burden on their parents there, that they are very, very happy with the free SHS, but they also want the review, and both parties are talking about enhancing it. So what exactly will that review look like from the perspective of these young men and women? I have 3 of them in the studio with me, and they'll be engaging with the reps from the political parties. Please stay with us here on PM Express, this special edition I'm looking forward to. Stay with me.